Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Nikki Haley has, like the Ron DeSantis campaign, Nikki Haley has not had a single day where she has not had an embarrassing moment, a disaster, been exposed. And today she's gotten something new that's just happened. Now, in the last couple days, she went on the Breakfast Club with Charlamagne tha God, and on the morning show, I played some clips of that over the last couple of days. You should go back and listen to that. It's completely insane. I'm not going to review that right now. It's the video before this one on YouTube. It was just, she made things much worse. She went over there to clarify the Civil War. Then she made more stupid comments about the Civil War and other things too. I mean, she's just having a terrible time. On yesterday's podcast, we were talking about how Nikki Haley in South Carolina is working with campaign workers for Mayor Pete's presidential campaign. So she's working for Democrats, trying to get Democrats to vote for her in South Carolina. She was colluding with Democrats in Iowa and New Hampshire. I mean, she's just terrible person. And then, of course, let's not forget her sex scandal. 2 guys gave sworn depositions. There have been multiple witnesses that have backed up this information, confirmed, corroborated all of this, that she was having sex with men other than her husband in the family car, Cadillac Escalade, in parking lots, behind restaurants and bars.
It's a nice car.
Yeah.
Big car, too.
Yeah, well, it wasn't always in the car. Sometimes she would have sex in her government office when she was in state government in South Carolina. I mean, it's just a disastrous campaign. And now today, Nikki Haley has been caught, busted, faking fan mail. I mean, this is just insane. Listen to this. This is in the Gateway Pundit. On Thursday, Nikki Haley took to her Twitter X account. I'm calling it Twitter X, guys. Everybody says X, Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter X, which I think is cool and easy, and I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. On Thursday, Nikki Haley took to her Twitter X account to express her gratitude for the kind words she claimed to have received from supporters. Nikki Haley wrote this: Americans wanted choice in this election, not a rerun. I'm overwhelmed by all of the kind words. We'll keep working hard to make you proud. However, it soon became apparent that there was a significant problem with the fan mail Nikki Haley shared. It appeared to be fake. One particular email caught the attention of eagle-eyed social media users. The message, allegedly received from someone named Michael B., was addressed to Nikki Haley and contained a passionate plea for her to continue her fight. However, it was discovered that the email was still in the draft stage and had not been sent. This raised suspicions about how Haley had supposedly received the email and shared it on X. Adding to the controversy was another piece of alleged fan mail shared by Nikki Haley that seemed to lack the personal touch usually associated with handwritten notes, instead being typed out in a digital font called Bees Burt's font. So, and I've got a copy of it here. It's supposed to be a handwritten note. Let me show this to you, Kathy. A handwritten note on, like lined paper like you use in high school, right? The white lined paper. And it's not handwritten. It's printed with this particular font, Breezebert font. It's not handwritten. And this is what they printed, and it's supposed to be handwritten, but they lied. I want to encourage Nikki Haley to keep pressing on. We need a competent and committed leader to stay the course in the bid for the presidency. I'm an independent and have voted for the best candidate every election cycle this year. It's Nikki, signed Mary A. Social media users were quick to call out Nikki Haley for what appeared to be a clumsy attempt at self-promotion. Some sarcastically suggested that Nikki Haley's team should have hit the send button before sharing the messages, while others criticized the apparent incompetence of her social media team. And how could you be so stupid?
Here's the deal.
To make fake fan mail and then post it on Twitter.
This is nothing new. This is what they've always done. It makes me think that all the people that they interview outside of these polling places that support Nikki are actors and are fake too. She's got the media helping her. And she's got a whole group of people behind her that are desperate to take down Trump, and they're all sitting there concocting these schemes. This is stuff they've always done, but with the new the internet sleuths, they call them. They're people that are really into politics and really investigate these things. You also have people that are internet sleuths that help solve crimes now, apparently. Yeah. But with these internet sleuths, which has become a thing, it's become very big on TikTok. They can't get away with their old tricks. Yeah. And the problem with her and DeSantis is they have old time rhinos that have been in politics for decades.
Like 80s and 90s people.
Romney, Bush, these guys that are pulling the same old tricks they pulled in the 90s and the 2000s.
Before there was internet and social media.
And they're getting caught. I mean, there is anything. This is what's scary, and is for anybody that votes for her. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. There is nothing genuine about this woman. She is a complete fabrication of, she's worse than DeSantis, I think.
Oh, yeah.
She's a complete fabrication of the deep state. And she literally is a puppet. If she ever won, she would have zero power. She would do whatever they told her to do. She's completely controlled. And she's willing to do anything to get into power. She's a very dangerous person. As you've said that all along.
And, the idea that she has a fan base is absurd.
Well, she obviously doesn't. Yeah. She's obviously not getting any fan mail, because if she had real fan mail, she'd be putting that out there.
Well,
so she has none. So she's got to make it up.
It's very frustrating, because this week on the program here, on my YouTube channel, I've been breaking all kinds of news on the radio, on YouTube, here on the podcast all week. All kinds of news I've been breaking this week. Yeah. I shouldn't be breaking this news. This news should be everywhere, and everyone should be reporting it. But the media have not conceded that Trump's going to win the nomination, okay? So they're still trying to undermine him. So these negative stories about Nikki Haley are not out there in the press. None of them are. This story of James O'Keefe that he broke this week, where he set up this fake date with the cybersecurity chief from the White House who's talking about Biden's dementia. Has that made the mainstream? There are all these massive stories out there, and none of them are making the news. This Charlemagne de God interview, this is the first time that Charlemagne de God has interviewed a presidential candidate that sound bites have not been all over the news, because Nikki Haley made a fool out of herself, and they're still trying to protect Nikki Haley. Yeah. And
why are they? She can't win. Are they so deluded that they think she can actually pull this out of her rear end?
This is what there's a few things in play here, okay? And I may forget one or two, because there's a lot of things in play with Nikki Haley. The conventional thinking is she's going to drop out after South Carolina. I wouldn't count.
I would think.
I don't know about that, and I'll tell you a couple reasons why. One, she's a spokesperson for the military-industrial complex, and they're pushing to start World War III with
Iran. Well, then she'll end up on CNN or whatever.
No. Because no. If you watch any of her interviews, like if she goes on Fox or something these days, all she talks about is carpet bombing Iran. Because she's a presidential candidate, she gets all these TV interviews with the big shots in the TV. Once she's no longer a presidential candidate, she'll still be on TV or something, but not like this. Like, look at DeSantis. You see any interviews with him anymore? Because he dropped out. So one reason is the military-industrial complex want Nikki Haley on television promoting war with Iran. Okay, they want World War III.
Right.
There's another thing too. These never-Trumpers in the Republican Party, okay, the hardcore establishment, uniparty Republicans, they're like a man who's hanging off the side of a building, 100 flights up, knowing he's going to fall, but he's still holding on there for life. They're still holding on to this thing that Trump's not going to be on the ballot. There's a news story that just came out. I saw this story yesterday. Yeah. I have not had it. There's been so much news. I haven't had a chance to get to the story. But there's a story that came out yesterday, and there's some more reporting on it today. This is the most absurd thing. They're floating this idea that Jack Smith may do a second raid on Mar-a-Lago, that there are secret rooms in Mar-a-Lago that were hidden from them. Now, secret rooms, maybe, these government workers that broke into Mar-a-Lago are just so stupid they missed some rooms, okay? But they want to get in there and look at the secret rooms that they believe Trump may have locked. And let me tell you, Greg Kelly on Newsmax, not long after the break-in of Mar-a-Lago, he showed how many documents they allege that he holds. It's less than one half of those boxes that you see, less than one half of one of those boxes. And it's like just a few documents, a few pages, but they're floating that they may break in again to get into these secret rooms of Mar-a-Lago. And I know, isn't that ridiculous?
These people are insane.
Isn't it ridiculous? So they're still holding on to the hope that they're going to get something on him.
Well,
now,
it's like, I wonder if they're as frustrated as that guy, that radio guy that quit his job. If they're
Charlie Sykes.
If they're just like, they must be so frustrated because everything they try falls apart.
Oh, I'm feeling good though, aren't you? This is a great time.
It's great. And it shows you that God is in control, not the liberals and not the deep state. He's exposing all of this. That's why all this is happening. Because he's shining a light on all this corruption and lying, and people are finally seeing what's really going on. It's just amazing to me. I mean, they really just are doing everything. They really do not want this guy to win, but they see that he's probably gonna win, and that's why they're just getting so good. This Fani Willis thing is falling apart. She's been subpoenaed. She admitted that she's been having an affair with the prosecutor.
So she admitted to being a sugar mama.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, how corrupt can you get? And then that other case with Jack Smith, with that other judge, that black woman, she's indefinitely postponed it.
Judge Chunkin.
Yeah. I mean, everything is falling apart because I think they figured he would drop out, or they figured he would be taken off the ballot. And it really shows you the power of perseverance and how you really are, you just need to hang in there when you have the truth on your side. You have to not give up and hang in there, because look what's happening now. What would have happened if Trump would have said, okay, I'm going to quit. I don't want to put my family through this. Drop everything and I'll leave. They would have dropped everything, but then then people would never really know the truth. We know the truth.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have played out. And he is really a remarkable guy. I've never known anybody like him, honestly, to just let things play out and have enough faith in himself and in the American people. He really is putting his faith in us to stick by him. And to, you know what I mean? It's really remarkable. And the longer this goes, the more things are falling apart for the Democrats. And it's just amazing.
And the Republicans.
And the rhinos. It's just amazing to see. I don't understand how they can justify all the scheming and lying. I mean, they really do have Trump derangement syndrome. Doubt. It's like people that call your show. You have certain chronic callers. I'm not going to name them by name.
Renee from Harlem.
All the time. They listen to your show every day. They're like your biggest fans, and they call you up, and they're so angry, and they probably think about you all the time. They probably go to bed stewing on it and worrying. I mean, that's how these people are. They just can't. I don't get that kind of personality. They just cannot let it go.
No, I know. And so
it's an obsession.
So this fake fan mail from Nikki Haley, right? Ask yourself this: if it was Donald Trump that had fake fan mail,
gosh,
the media would shut down.
Absolutely,
it's all they would be talking about. Nikki Haley, media silence, just media silence. Now, CNN.
And the fact that she releases anything says a lot about her, too.
Now, CNN did a segment today on those illegals that attacked the cops, beat the cops, mugged the cops, and then got released without bail, and then were walking in front of the media giving the middle finger. And they had an expert on CNN today who talked about what's really going on, okay? And I want to play this for you. It's the guy that they're talking to, his name is John Miller. He's like the CNN law enforcement analyst, okay? And he's talking about the crime that illegals are committing in New York City. Listen to this. This is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So first we'll hear Governor Hochul of New York.
Right.
The back. You don't touch our police officers. You don't touch anybody. Thank you, everybody.
I mean, we're hearing a change when it comes to immigration in general from President Biden on down. Do you hear her talk about that? it is also directly related to the fact that these were police officers. Does that have any impact? Does that change anything?
Well, it's so complicated because, you're a New Yorker. You move through the city every day as I do. We see these people. We touch these people. They're out looking for work. They're delivering our food. They're at the gas stations and the car wash. These are people who came in waves, 170,000 probably to New York City. But within that group, this hardworking, throngs of people in search of hope and a better life, there is this 1%er, criminal element that looks at a different opportunity here. These individuals, I went over their rap sheets yesterday, multiple charges, grand larceny, robbery, attempted robbery, grand larceny. This particular crew operated on mopeds and scooters. They were doing organized retail theft. They were doing snatches on the street, iPhones, iPads, clothing, so on and so forth. One of them that they are still seeking has 10 charges on one day because he's part of a pattern that's been going on. And I'm looking at the dates that their arrest started, which is probably close to when they got here. They've only been here a couple of months. So what the detectives are telling me is they have crews here that operate in New York, do all their stealing, then go to Florida to spend the money and then come back. And I'm like, well, why don't they just stay and steal in Florida? And they said, because there you go to jail.
Oh.
They're like, oh. So he says they're living in Florida. So DeSantis, are you back? Okay, can you do something about these illegals? They go to New York to do crime. They make their money, and where there's no bail, no consequences. Then they come back in Florida and they live here peacefully, obeying the law, other than being illegal, until they run out of money. Then they go back to New York and steal more. And I like when the reporter at the end, the anchor, she says, "Oh, oh," but what she said at the beginning. She says there's a big change on immigration from Biden to Hochul. It's not immigration, it's invasion. These are criminals. They're coming here illegally. So immigration is like what Melania did. It's a legal process that you do. When you come here illegally, that's not immigration. There is a big change, and it's all because of Greg Abbott. And
absolutely.
I know a lot of people don't like Greg Abbott, okay, but Greg Abbott has done something that most of us would have thought was impossible. He has turned the most hardcore open border Democrats into basically build the wall and shut down the border.
It's crazy.
And he said over 170,000 came to New York. Now, my recollection is because
what this reminds me of? The movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Yeah.
Where you have these
Guess who's coming? There was Sidney Poitier and Mr. Tracy.
Yeah, because they're these white liberal progressives, and they're all woke, and then their daughter brings a black guy home. And as soon as it happens in their own family, they don't. They have a hard time.
Oh, so the illegals are taking over New York.
Yeah,
so
now that it's in their own backyard and it's in their home,
you're right,
and it's affecting them, all of a sudden, they don't like it.
You're right,
and that's exactly what that's about.
You're right. You're right on the money.
Now that they Spencer. Sidney Poitier walked in the door, and all of a sudden, they lost it.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's exactly right, Kathy. Now, for those liberals out there that say the Great Replacement theory is nonsense, so over 170,000, according to this guy, have come to New York. That's crazy, right? Now, they got a lot of empty space because so many people fled New York after, And for those of you out there that do not think that there's a change in our culture and a resettlement going on with the illegals in this country, over 170,000 in New York alone in a short time period. There have been over 4.5 million a year coming into the country while Biden's been in the White House. Now, I may be off by a few, but I think my number's correct. But if it's not correct, I'm pretty close. I'll probably get a bunch of comments on YouTube telling me, you're wrong. My recollection is that 102 came to the New World on the Mayflower. It was around 102.
Around there.
102.
And then half of them died.
Yeah,
the kids lived, but most of the adults died.
Yeah, so about 102 pilgrims came on the Mayflower. About half of them died, and they reshaped the entire, not just the entire North American continent, but created a whole new civilization that is based around the greatness that is America.
That's what they're doing here, but they think they see us as colonizers, and that the white Europeans came here and destroyed the Indian nation, and we came and colonized. So this is just that happening, but it's brown people, so it's okay.
Well, if 102, half of which died, can take over an entire continent, create democracy eventually with the colonies later, reshape the entire civilization of our planet, these 102 great Mayflower people. You're telling me that 4.6 million illegal Hispanics coming across the border aren't changing our country? And I'll tell you, and
they're coming a lot faster than the Europeans came over here, in greater numbers.
And you liberals out there, the Hispanics are of European descent too. They're either a descendant of Spaniards, or Portuguese.
True.
So they're European as well.
But it's not just South Americans anymore coming in.
No.
Now it's national people from all different countries, Africa, China. We don't know anything about them. And for this guy to sit here and say that the criminals are the minority, it doesn't matter whether that's true or not. What matters is that they're not being documented. We don't know who they are. We don't know anything about these people. It's happening way too fast. Our system cannot handle it. And on top of everything else, unlike when people came through Ellis Island, the government is paying for everything. When the people came through Ellis Island in the early 20th century, they got off the boat and what they had in their pocket was what they had. Now, they might have had people there offering them jobs or certain opportunities and things like that. But I don't think the government was there handing them checks and free housing. Now, I know if you see like the movie with Tom Cruise where they gave them free land, I know the government was helping expand to the West and giving them either free or really cheap land, but they had to work that land. They had to till the soil and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they gave a helping hand, but this is like supporting these people for life and giving them things, that we're paying for. Like that woman, Keisha, we played on the show yesterday, who lost her youth center for her 4 sons because it's been taken over now. And that's what happens when it hits home with people. And that's what Greg Abbott, boy, I'd love to see him as the VP. Him or no, but he's really made such a drastic change in the country.
Yeah.
But when it hits home with people, then that's when when it affects them directly, that's when you start changing the minds of people. Everything else is always in the abstract.
Yeah.
But once it actually affects them directly, that's just human nature. Then they're like, okay, this is, I don't like this. We got to do something. And, that's what has to happen for things to change.
Now, Ben Shapiro has this hit rap song out, right? That he appears in. I mean, it's not just that he talks in it for a few seconds. He did it with this Canadian rapper, Tom McDonald. And I did see this last week, and it may already be, but it's about to become number 1. And I did something yesterday that I've not done in a long, long time. I listened to Ben Shapiro's podcast, and I couldn't get through much of it because all he was doing was talking about himself in this rap song. And he said something that is just I'm not a big fan of rap music.
Yeah.
I mean, I never was. And I remember when rap was new, like in the 80s. And I remember I had a friend of mine, white kid. He was very big into rap, and I remember telling him, I was like, man, rap's going to be like, you're all into rap. It's going to be like break dance. It's going to be like breaking. It's a fad rap.
Well, now I think hip hop's big. I don't know.
But I was listening to Ben Shapiro talk about himself, which it seems to be his favorite topic.
Yes.
And it's about this song. And a couple things about it. First off, the main rapper is the guy who did it. He appears in it and says a couple things. I mean, but he was explaining what he's trying to do. He keeps saying it's a joke. It's a joke. Nobody gets the joke. I'm making a joke. And then he said he is a classically trained musician. And I've seen him on YouTube. I think it was the violin. He was playing the theme of Game of Thrones with the violin. And that's great. I remember all the kids that played the violin. I cannot play any musical instruments. And he was talking about how he wanted to show that classically trained musicians, okay? Classically trained musicians are true musicians and artists who spend years learning about music and musical theory and instruments and this, and that anyone can be a rap star. You don't it's a no talent thing. He is becoming the number 1 Billboard rap song, possibly. He may already be there as we're speaking, but it looks like it's going to happen. Not because it doesn't take talent. It's because a lot of people who have never listened or certainly not bought any rap music in their life are buying his song. They'll never buy another one, okay? And I don't agree with him that rap is all a bunch of no talents. I'm not saying that a lot of it is. I don't, obviously any type of musical genre today that's popular music, there's a lot of no talents in it, okay? But I've listened to hip hop. I've listened to rap over the years, and there's a lot of musical talent to that, okay? And so I don't agree that rap artists and hip hop artists are all no talents. He's doing this gimmick, and I just thought it was so arrogant of him talking about himself. It seemed like forever. I didn't put a clock to it, but it seemed like he was talking about himself forever. But the song's not that. But I'll say this: the song's not that bad. If you go and watch the Ben Shapiro rap song, watch the video. It's good. I like the video's good. The song's good, and it makes some sense. I like it. I'm not going to pay. Why should I pay for it? I can watch it for free on YouTube. You had something there?
No, I just wanted to mention that Carl Weathers passed away.
I know.
Who is a great actor, and I did not know he played in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I don't know what team he was on.
I don't know, but I did know that.
But he's a big part of our childhood, and then he's been on The Mandalorian recently. He's a great actor, and of course from the Rocky movies and stuff, Predator.
Yep.
Great movie. So I just wanted to mention
everyone loves Carl Weathers.
Rest in peace. We love Carl Weathers. He's an amazing actor. It's kind of sad because a lot of these actors we grew up with are passing away.
Well, because we're getting older.
We're getting older, exactly.
That's right.
My dad's, he's 86, and he says when you get to my age, all your friends start to drop dead.
Well, I'm glad Carl Weathers ended though on top because The Mandalorian was a big hit. Mm-hmm. So
I'm not sure what he died from, but
it was 112. Now listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, oh boy, you will not want to miss the next segment. Okay. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
From author H.L. Howard comes a story that transcends time and space. A Journey Must Be Taken playlist available on Amazon. Celebrating an astonishing 1,000% surge in downloads, A Journey Must Be Taken playlist is a story of love, a journey through the complexities of human emotions and spiritual beliefs. This is a book where love defies all boundaries, race, gender, age, and societal norms. The story grows with its protagonist, from youthful innocence to mature wisdom. A Journey Must Be Taken playlist was inspired by New Age beliefs, tarot, and spiritual energy. This book is for anyone who seeks a deeper connection with the universe through the power of love. It's also a great fit for your book clubs too. New York Weekly calls it an emotionally rich romance that's a must-read. Available in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. A Journey Must Be Taken playlist from author H.L. Howard. Order your copy right now. The new sci-fi novel from author Tony Travis is now available on Amazon. Keyholes. Keyholes is a journey of discovery. Meet Dr. Alan Messman and his brother Colonel Bryce Messman as they uncover a groundbreaking revelation, a mysterious portal influenced by quantum effects on photons. Join their team on a quest to unravel the secrets hidden behind the keyhole. What lies beyond? A passage to the past, an alternate world, or something beyond our wildest imaginations? Find out when you read Keyholes from author Tony Travis. Follow their journey as it challenges the very nature of reality, intertwining cosmic mysteries with a deep exploration of identity and existence. Every page is a gateway to another layer of mystery, leading to a climax that will leave you questioning the very fabric of our universe. Order your copy of Keyholes from author Tony Travis on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Keyholes from author Tony Travis on Amazon. Have you ever dreamed of owning a piece of paradise? You can in Barbados. Jaya Savillani is a certified real estate agent and member of the Barbados Estate Agent and Valuers Association, and she could turn your dream into a reality. Whether you're looking for a holiday home in a gated community, a property investment, the perfect location for a hotel, or residential condo development, Jaya has you covered. There are so many options in Barbados, including agricultural land, office spaces, and more. Jaya Savillani is your go-to expert for all your real estate needs in Barbados. Jaya can also rent or sell your property. If you're ready to buy, list, or rent, contact Jaya Savillani of Savillani Real Estate online at luxurylifestyleshop.com. That's luxurylifestyleshop.com. Or call 1-246-283-8445. 1-246-283-8445. And on Instagram and TikTok at Savillani Real Estate. Your dream home in Barbados is just a click away. LuxuryLifestyleShop.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. All right, MSNBC did something that is interesting. I'm shocked that they aired this. MSNBC sent a reporter to a black barbershop to interview black men at the black barbershop. And, you know, it's so unfortunate that the things that are segregated today, because segregation's over, right? But there's two things that are really segregated. Barbershops and churches. There's black churches and there's black barbershops. And I know it's self-imposed segregation, but you know, it is.
Well, you go to a barbershop, and I think it's because the hair's so different. I mean, Emily goes to a black hair salon in L.A.
Yeah. Because
she said when she goes to a regular salon, the white chicks don't know what they're doing.
That's true.
And it is very different, the hair. I mean, I had a friend in high school, my friend Lisa, who's black, and she would talk to me about it, how it's so, she would be like, you just don't understand like how much different the hair is, the texture, everything, how much harder it is to manage than like just like a white person's hair. So I don't know if that's like, I'd call it segregation. It's just a different skill set.
Maybe. You might be right.
Yeah.
So anyway, MSNBC sent a black reporter to a black barbershop to talk to 4 black men about Trump and Biden in the presidential election. And I am shocked that they aired this.
Me too.
And let me play it and then we'll talk about it.
There are some people in your orbit who are either voting for Donald Trump or considering it?
For sure. A lot of my friends are obviously my age, so we're a little younger. We've only voted once, you know, for a president. And Trump is kind of all we know. And they're kind of Trump and Biden. They're like, well, we were broke with Biden. We weren't with Trump. And that's kind of the only thing that I'm hearing over and over again is that, well, Trump, we had money. Well, okay.
Now, I mean, this, you know, listen, I don't think people appreciate what's going on here enough. MSNBC doing this, and they're not the only one. CNN's done similar things. For these left-wing news networks to be reporting the truth about how people feel about Biden, who are traditional Democrats and Democrat groups, is historic.
You know why they're doing it.
This never happened before.
They're not trying to help Trump. They're trying to get Biden to drop out.
It's not going to happen.
Is what they're trying to do. They're letting him, because I read today, he watches, his favorite show is Joe Scarborough.
Well, that's the next story I'm going to get to.
So he obviously is only going to watch MSNBC. Kamala apparently watches The Five and is obsessed with Fox News. But Biden watches MSNBC. And they are sending, in my opinion, a direct message to him.
Yeah. Like,
you're going to lose. You're going to lose the black vote. And maybe because they're not trying to help Trump, even though it looks like it. I think my opinion is they're trying to get Biden to drop out, which is never going to occur.
I don't agree with you. No, I really think that I'm not saying they're trying to help Trump. Okay?
No, that's for sure.
But the traditional left groups, blacks, gays, Hispanics, women, they're more conservative now, including the people apparently that are working at MSNBC behind the scenes to a certain extent, the new guard of younger people, because this type of reporting is unheard of. Now, this story about Biden and Joe Scarborough, there's a story in the New York Post, is what you were referencing. Let me go through this. Mm-hmm. This is from the New York Post today. President Biden reportedly cannot get enough of MSNBC's Morning Joe. Now, the reason that is because I guess they won't let him listen to me. He should be watching. But President Biden should be listening to me.
No, I don't think he'd like listening to you.
Oh, he'd love it. He'd love me in the mornings. But
Trump maybe, yes, but not Biden.
Now,
no.
I find it hard to believe, though, that Joe Biden is up early enough to be watching Morning Joe. But they say here in the New York Post he is.
Oh, I disagree with you. I think he probably goes to bed about 5 o'clock, and he's probably up about 5 in the morning.
I don't know. Biden is a devoted viewer of the left-leaning cable news talk show hosted by Joe Scarborough and his wife, Mika Brzezinski. The president, this is New York Post, the president frequently calls Joe Scarborough, a Republican turned independent, off air, to get his take on the issues of the day, as well as to vent about media coverage about him. Biden is also known to ask White House staffers whether they tuned into Morning Joe to watch a particular segment about a news story or poll, according to a source close to the situation. Aides to Biden have started to watch Morning Joe on a regular basis in anticipation of potential questions they might receive from Biden during the workday. The president is also reported to have solicited the advice of regular Morning Joe panelists and commentators, including Mike Barnicle. Oh, what a beaut he is.
Wonderful. Why are these politics? Of course, Trump gets advice from Tucker. What is it about these politicians that
Tucker's smart.
I know, but why do they like to get advice from people in the media, do you think?
I don't know. He also gets advice from not just Mike Barnicle, but John Meacham, who's a presidential historian. Meacham is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author of bestsellers on Thomas Jefferson, George H.W. Bush, and Andrew Jackson, among others, and has written speeches for Biden.
Oh, boy.
MSNBC said it would no longer pay Meacham to be a contributor after he failed to disclose that he wrote Biden's acceptance speech in 2020. Meacham has been allowed to appear as a commentator on MSNBC, but unpaid. Biden's reliance on MSNBC comes after Trump was criticized for soliciting the advice of cable news personalities like Tucker Carlson. The thing about Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, by the way, they don't live in Washington or New York. They live right down the street from Don Jr. in Jupiter, Florida. Okay, right up the street from the radio station.
Everybody lives down
and
here.
They have these backdrops behind them that makes it look like they're in Washington, but they're not. They're in their mansion in Jupiter. They're Washington outsiders, not insiders. But MSNBC, now with the exception of this Black Barbershop segment, okay, I've watched a little bit of MSNBC over the last couple of weeks for different news stories that have been going on, mostly the primaries, because I'll flip through them to get primary results. MSNBC is just, with the exception of this Black Barbershop segment, just completely wackadoodle. There is no one on MSNBC who's got a lick of sense. They're all nuts. They are all,
and they're liars.
They're all suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. And Tucker Carlson. It's the reason that someone might go to a media person to get their advice, like Tucker or me, is because when you're in media, you have contact with the audience. You feel the pulse of what the audience is interested in and what their take is.
Or you're just trying to get the media on your side.
I don't think
you want them to think that you care about their opinion.
That's not what Trump does with Tucker.
I'm not saying him, but maybe I just find it interesting that all these presidents take advice from people in the press.
You know what?
It's just amazing to me. Instead of actually listening to the American people, I don't get it.
Fox News took Kim Guilfoyle off the air when she started dating Don Jr. because they said there was a conflict.
Yeah, exactly.
And Joe Scarborough is already full of himself. This guy's in love with himself. He looks like Odo from Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He's a jerk. I mean, he's just not a pleasant person. And you take someone with that kind of ego, and then he finds out that the president the sitting president watches him in the morning and
I'm sure he knows already, but it's just being public now.
And seek advice from him. I mean, that's like pouring gasoline on a bonfire.
Well, he probably leaked that story.
Probably, but his ego must be going through the roof. Now, I know none of you watch Morning Joe because he's on when I'm on in the mornings.
Right, exactly.
And I don't know. I thought MSNBC was just running filler programming because I'm on, and it's just, it's really a dead air period when I'm on. Because everyone's listening and watching me, right? But I'm just kidding.
What were you saying about ego?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. I wish that were true. I wish everybody watched me. You all should, all right? Well, if you're listening to me, you probably do. But Joe Scarborough is so full of himself, and there's nothing more dangerous than an egomaniac broadcaster who thinks a president is listening to them, because then they start talking to the president. And then they start picking stories and takes on stories and guests and such to try to influence policy. I'm not going to – I had this happen a couple times recently with me, okay? A couple months back, I interviewed Marjorie Taylor Greene, okay? And I don't want to say who my contact is, because I got a good contact with her. But they told me right before I had this set up like in advance, but I don't know, about 30 minutes or an hour before the interview, I got a message from my Marjorie Taylor Greene contact that I set the interview up with that President Trump was going to be listening at Mar-a-Lago on the actual radio. And I got really nervous. I was really nervous, okay? And I was nervous because he was listening, but I wasn't talking to him and I wasn't trying to impress him. I just did the interview like I would have done it anyway, which was very hard for me to do. I wish they wouldn't have told me that until after. Mm-hmm. And I've been told that he's listened to me after the fact. And there was one time in particular that someone told me that the president had listened to me that particular morning, and I was like, "Thank God! It was such a great show today." And there were a couple of calls that that were just couple. I talked to a liberal jerk or two, and he was pretty impressed with it from what they told me. So that was nice. But I don't talk to him. But I had it. I'm not going to tell you who this was. I've told you, Kathy. Kathy knows. But I was talking to someone on the air not that long ago who, because they thought the president was, when I say the president, I mean Donald Trump, they thought President Trump was listening, and they were saying certain things to try to talk to him, to communicate to him. Like they were trying to communicate. Mm-hmm. They thought Trump was listening, so they were saying particular things to try to impress President Trump. And I told you, Kathy, I said they sounded like a fool when they were trying to, they were trying to, who I'm talking, they were trying to communicate to President Trump through the radio, and it didn't sound good. I did not call them out on it because I didn't want to embarrass anybody that was involved in it. But Joe Scarborough, now that this story is out, and you're right, he probably leaked it out.
Yeah.
Now that this story is in all the national media, he is going to be the biggest egomaniac he's ever been.
Oh,
he's going to be a complete monster.
I mean, the two of them, I just can't imagine what their sex life is like. I want to talk about Aldi. Libs of TikTok just tweeted this. Aldi. I don't shop at Aldi.
I hate Aldi
because
I don't like
the Aldi by us, it's filthy, and I will not shop in a grocery store that's filthy.
Is it? I didn't know.
Well, when I went to the cash register, let's just say it wasn't a pretty sight. It was very dusty, and there were like Cheetos shoved in behind something, and it was just very dirty.
Gross.
They don't keep it clean. So
at least that particular one.
I went with you. I guess you don't remember, and I had a bunch of stuff in the cart, and I literally walked out and left my cart there. And I'm like, I'm not buying any food from a grocery store. That's why I like Publix.
So what happened with Libs of TikTok?
Clean. Anyway, so Aldi now, it says here, she just tweeted this. Jobs for Humanity is partnering with Aldi to build an inclusive and just employment ecosystem.
What does that mean?
Therefore, I'm going to tell you, we prioritize individuals coming from the following communities: refugees,
That means
neurodivergent, whatever the hell that means. Single parent, that's good.
Wait, neurodivergent?
Neurodivergent. Never heard that word before.
Okay.
Well, neuro is like brain. So maybe that's a nice way of saying like mentally challenged. I don't know. Single parent, blind or low vision, deaf, hard of hearing, Black, Hispanic, Asian, military, and the elderly, LGBTQ,
neurodivergent,
and justice impacted individuals.
Okay, neurodivergent are people whose brain differences affect how their brain works. They have different strengths and challenges. I don't know what that means. I still don't.
So this position, this is who they're hiring. So they're actually single. They've listed basically everybody that's not like just a regular white person or male.
Yeah,
single parent, which is typically women that work in grocery stores, blind, low vision. I have no problem with that, but, I don't know how a blind person can work in a grocery store. Deaf, hard of hearing, Black, Hispanic, Asian. So they list all of the ethnic groups, basically, except white. Military, that's fine. Elderly, LGBTQ. So maybe you can get in if you're white, if you're gay. And justice-impacted individuals. Is that ex-cons? This position is open to candidates who reside in and have the legal right to work.
Justice-impacted individuals?
Yes, so that's who Aldi is targeting. It says, this is Libs of TikTok breaking. Aldi USA promises to break the law and discriminate against straight white people in their hiring. They are looking to hire a procurement specialist and will prioritize everyone except straight white people. Well, that's the way things are now. So I just retweeted that. Libs of TikTok, they're on it. And then Donald Trump made a statement.
Well, Aldi,
about Fannie Willis.
Here's the thing with Aldi, okay?
Yeah.
Aldi, I believe, is
cheap.
a German company, okay?
Yeah, they just bought Winn-Dixie.
Yeah, so when you're a German company, a lot of Germans today, modern Germans have a lot of guilt for the Second World War.
The Nazis.
So, they're all grandchildren and great-grandchildren and such of Nazis. It doesn't mean they're Nazis. But there's a lot of guilt with Germans. So when these social justice warriors go to Aldi, it's easier to nudge them to do these bizarre things like this because they have a lot of World War II guilt, the Germans.
Maybe. Okay, and then I'm just going through Twitter X. So Trump made a statement about Fannie Willis. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Fannie Willis, the DA of Fulton County, just admitted to having a sexual relationship with the prosecutor. She, in consultation with the White House and DOJ, appointed to get President Donald Trump. By going after the most high-level person and the Republican nominee, she was able to get her lover much more money, almost $1 million, than she would be able to get for the prosecution of any other person. This means that this scam is totally discredited and over.
Well, all the cases are falling apart on Trump, right?
All this week. Yeah. It's crazy. It's all happening at once.
The J6 case with Judge Shunkin, that's been postponed indefinitely. The trial is going to start in March. This Fannie case, that's going to evaporate. I mean, it's just bad. And there was a woman who worked for her who's speaking, and it's all kinds of stuff's coming out. A woman who works for her saw all of her financial scummy stuff with her gigolo, fan. She went to her about it. She demoted her. And then she went to her a second time and she punished her again. And the second time she was recording the conversation, apparently.
Oh.
So we're going to get recordings of Fannie, and we're going to get all kinds of things. So that one's going to be done. That fake fraud, the case is a fraud. About the property value of Mar-a-Lago, that's falling apart. All the cases against Trump are evaporating.
Okay, and then I have one more piece of news. Lots of breaking news today. Monica Crowley, who's a newswoman, I like her. I think she used to work at Fox. I'm not sure. But she said the RNC is meeting right now. And then she writes, fire Ronna. So they're meeting right now. I wonder if they're going to fire Ronna McDaniel because they're in the red. They're in debt. And it's not really, I don't know too much about her. I know she's lost a lot of weight and she's related to Mitt Romney. But
she's Romney's niece.
Yeah, they're losing money, like I said yesterday, because people they're crooked and they're not doing their job with impeaching Biden and Mayorkas. So people aren't giving them any money. They're like, screw these guys.
Ronna McDaniel this came out yesterday. She has been spending so much money on her clothes.
I didn't know that.
And private jets and stuff.
She's had a whole makeover.
Yeah.
Maybe even some plastic surgery in there.
There's no need for her to fly a private jet and all that. And she's been flying private jets.
There you go.
But it depends on who they replace her with. I think
they're meeting now, so they might get rid of her.
I think they should replace her with Mike Lindell. That would be my first choice.
Okay, well, who realistically?
I don't know.
Do you think they would do? I like Don Jr., but
Don Jr. would be perfect.
That's not going to happen. Who realistically? It'll be another Rhino.
I have no guesses on that.
I know Vivek, I think, wants the job.
The person, the RNC, the way they pick a chairman for the RNC, what the RNC mostly does is fundraise. So they'll pick someone who's connected to the donors to get the money. And what you said's right. MAGA people will not give 10 cents to the Republicans. They'll give all their money to Trump directly, which Trump tells you to do. Why are we going to give money to these Republicans? They get elected. They do nothing but work against Trump.
Nothing.
Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support. And if you're a Patreon supporter, please go to the Patreon page. There's a lot of exclusive things that Kathy and I both post up there on the Patreon page that no one else gets to see. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, ActicFox, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, and Constance. These are our top Patreon supporters. Now, if you would like to become a Patreon supporter and support the program and have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes, there's a link in the description of this and every episode, all right, to our Patreon page. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll take our break and be back right after this.
How would you like to transform your living space? You can at Tuvrik.com. That's Tovrik. Tuvrik.com is your premier destination for quality living. They have a carefully curated selection of lifestyle essentials that are designed to elevate every aspect of your home. From chic decor to functional furniture, they have it all. Looking for that perfect touch for your kitchen? Maybe an elegant addition to your bathroom? No problem. Tuvrik.com has a huge selection of choices in home decor, kitchen essentials, and those bathroom accessories you've been searching for. You can illuminate your home with their lighting selection and discover the latest in home electronics and advanced tech. Their furniture collection blends style with comfort and can transform any room. And don't forget about your furry family members. Tuvrik.com's pet supplies cater to their needs with love and care. And if you're an outdoor enthusiast, check out their patio, lawn, and garden selections. With fast shipping, easy returns, and a commitment to customer satisfaction, Tuvrik.com ensures a seamless shopping experience. So what are you waiting for? Start shopping right now at Tuvrik.com. Tuvrik. And begin your journey towards a beautiful, functional, and more joyful living space. Tuvrik.com, your premier destination for quality living. Are you a teenager who wants to unlock their full potential? You can. You just need the right help and guidance. And that's what you will find in the book from author Charles E. Tyler, 10 Mindsets to Embrace for Teenage Success, Happiness, and a Determined Path in Life. Available on Amazon. This must-read and life-changing book is your guide to rocking the teenage years with confidence and clarity. It's filled with real-life, no-nonsense advice. You'll discover how to navigate the twists and turns of adolescence. Have you ever wondered how successful people make it look so easy? 10 Mindsets to Embrace reveals their secrets. You'll also find interactive exercises that can boost your emotional intelligence, find your zen, and supercharge your self-awareness and discover the real you. Author Charles E. Tyler's 10 Mindsets to Embrace is a conversation, a guide, and your personal coach. It's perfect for teens who are ready to challenge the norms, make their mark, and become their best selves. And it makes a great gift for parents, teachers, and school counselors to share with their students. 10 Mindsets to Embrace for Teenage Success, Happiness, and a Determined Path in Life is available on Amazon. Order your copy right now and take that first step to the success and happiness that you've dreamed of. From author Doris Ladino comes a book of love, betrayal, and self-discovery. They Call Her Sophia, available on Amazon. Sophia Vega has spent most of her life married to her first love, the only man she's ever been with. But as her marriage falls apart, she finds herself in the dating world for the first time, with new emotions and unfamiliar territory. She dates many men, then becomes infatuated with one in particular that teaches her a harsh lesson in manipulation. She's determined to never be played again. She transforms herself, becoming a woman desired by many, yet untouchable. Sophia's true growth begins when she steps back from the chaos, leaves the dating scene, and begins self-reflection. Then she learns that taking care of herself is her greatest reward. They Call Her Sophia is a story of romance, healing, and empowerment. It will resonate with anyone who's ever searched for love and found themselves along the way. They Call Her Sophia is also available in Spanish and is a perfect addition to your book club. They Call Her Sophia will inspire your heart and ignite your soul. Order your copy right now on Amazon, available in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, audiobook, and Kindle Unlimited. They Call Her Sophia, from author Doris Ladino, on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. So Biden is, well, someone. I mean, if anybody believe Biden's with it enough to be in charge of anything. But the United States is bombing in retaliation to that strike. They killed 3 U.S. service personnel. 85 targets in Iraq and Syria. I mean, I thought we liberated Iraq and everything was cool there. We're bombing. I thought Iraq was our ally. What's going on? You know, here's the thing. Okay, I brought this up at the beginning of the week, and I talked about this for quite a bit on the show earlier this week, and no one in the media has brought this up. Now, before I get to that, though, you know, it's the middle of the night over there where they're bombing. Okay, they're bombing these targets in the middle of the night. There's no one there. They're bombing empty buildings. All the bad guys are at home, sleeping. You understand what I mean? They bomb. This is what they always do.
Yeah,
they bomb in the middle of the night when everyone's home.
Yeah, it's like right now. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning,
and they're
8 hours ahead.
They bomb empty buildings. All the terror leaders are at home with their harems. The only people that might be in these places that are being bombed are the janitorial staffs. But I brought this up about this earlier.
Yeah, remember the Japanese? They bombed Pearl Harbor early in the morning when everybody was asleep.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? That's when they did it.
Yeah.
And
well, here though, what they do now though is they bomb office buildings and headquarters and stuff, and they don't bomb. You know, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, they were targeting the ships.
Yeah, and all the guys were sleeping on them.
And the planes. So they got the ships and the sailors. They got the planes. There was no one awake to shoot back. But when they bomb empty buildings because no one's at work at midnight at 2 o'clock in the morning over there, it defeats the purpose.
Well, that's on purpose, Brian. So it looks like they're doing something when they're really not. It's all part of the plan.
But this is what I was talking about earlier this week about these U.S. service personnel that was killed, and no one in the media has even brought this up. Now, this terrorist attack was done by a drone, which is unusual for terrorists to use a drone. So it was widely reported at the beginning of the week that the drone strike was successful because the defense systems at the U.S. base thought it was a U.S. drone, okay? And that's why it was successful. Killed 3 and wounded many other U.S. service personnel. I believe it was a U.S. drone. I believe the terrorists likely had one of our drones, probably one that Biden left behind with the Taliban in Afghanistan, and the Taliban, from them, it ended up with the terrorists, either directly or through Iran, okay? And I think that our 3 American soldiers were killed with a U.S. drone that Biden left behind. And I haven't heard anyone bring this up, okay, or even ask about this. And the fact that I haven't heard anybody in the media even ask this question, to me, is a confirmation that it probably was a U.S. drone. All right. And the reason that our defense systems didn't respond is they thought it was one of our own drones flying home. That's why. They thought it probably had a U.S. signal coming out of it, something that they thought it was one of ours. And if that is true, that's criminal for Biden. That's another example of Biden, the way he left Afghanistan, leaving our equipment behind, And this has happened before. Remember, Chris Stevens in Benghazi was killed by terrorists that were using U.S. weapons. He was in Benghazi trying to get back the weapons that Obama and Hillary gave them, and they killed Chris Stevens with weapons that Obama and Hillary gave the terrorists. So this would be consistent with any administration Biden's connected with, and it's criminal what's going on here. Now, so far as these targets that they have over there, if we had a media that was, we don't have a media anymore. It's state-controlled television. It was not always like this. The media was always liberal, okay? But they still ask questions. They were still reporters, and now they don't ask any questions. It's completely state-run, and most of the people in the news have some connection, either having worked directly for the government or the CIA or president.
Right here, you have Joe Biden talking to Joe Scarborough.
Yeah.
You don't think that affects what Joe Scarborough talks about? Or
and
you have all these politicians, like I said, talking to the media. I don't know if that's such a good thing.
Senator Menendez that takes bribes, his daughter's an anchor on MSNBC. Yeah. You got all these ex-White House spokespeople that work for the news outlets. Mm-hmm. The media is state-controlled, okay? And with the media's job, by their definition, this is how they view their job. Their job is to protect the establishment, government, and control, regardless of the political party. They're not to ask tough questions. They're not to expose anything. They're not to report scandals. They're not to do any of this.
So is this the beginning of World War III here we're looking at? Or
well, we'll see.
What is this?
It could be.
We were at war with Iraq.
For a long time, 20 years in 20 Afghanistan.
Years okay, remind me. The Desert Storm was in Iraq, right?
That was in 91.
Okay, yeah, I was in college then because a bunch of guys I knew went off to fight.
We were in war.
And then didn't we go back with George Bush?
Yes.
The second.
The WMD lie for many years.
Because he lied. So this is our third time now.
That we're bombing Iraq again.
So under Biden, you have 3 conflicts. Trump, there were none. They actually had the Abraham Accords, okay? Because all those, the Muslim, the Jewish, and the Christian religion are all based from Abraham, right? So they called them the Abraham Accords. And there was peace. Now Biden is in office. You have 3 major conflicts.
All which could have been avoided.
None of these would have happened under Trump. I don't understand how people can be okay with this. How do liberals justify? When all they talked about was how Trump was going to start World War III, and he didn't. Now all they're saying is Trump's going to make it so he's president for life, and he's going to change the Constitution. They just make things up to scare people from voting for him. Don't believe it. Look back on what's so unique about this presidential thing is Trump was president. And the media lied about him for so long. They continue to lie about him. So you have a unique perspective because time has passed before the next election. That's unique. How many presidents run, skip 4, and then run again? I don't know. Has that ever happened? So time has gone by once. And people can look back and have perspective on things and be like, okay, this is what they told me. This is obviously not true. And they keep lying about this guy. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a unique position that he's in, and people are seeing this. But I don't know how Democrats can, when they sat there and said, well, Rachel Maddow and all them, Trump's going to start wars and this and that. Here you got Biden, 3 major conflicts in the world under him, and they're cool with it.
And we're probably...
These are crazy people.
And the terrorists are probably attacking our people with our own weapons he left behind in Afghanistan. So that makes him the criminal. That makes Biden the criminal. Now, I saw this story yesterday, and we didn't get a chance to get to it yesterday. This was out of Connecticut. Teenagers in Connecticut ripped down a tampon dispenser
I saw this.
in a boys' bathroom just 20 minutes after it was installed at their high school last week. The tampon dispenser was installed at 9 a.m. on Wednesday in one of the boys' bathrooms at Brookfield High School. By 9:54, it had been torn off the wall, leaving tampons scattered around the floor of the boys' room. Yeah, it used to be smoking in the boys' room. Now it's tampons
in the boys. Yeah, the new song for Motley Crue.
A student who remains unidentified, and there may be multiple students, are facing disciplinary actions.
Of course.
The school's principal labeled it an egregious incident of vandalism and destruction of property in an email to students and staff. Well, it's obviously, destruction of property. The installation of the tampon dispenser comes in response to a state law mandating menstrual products be provided in women's restrooms, all gender restrooms, and at least one's men's room for students from grade 3 through 12th grade. A photo.
In third grade get their period? Oh my goodness gracious.
Well, the boys don't, Kathy.
Well, obviously.
Ever.
Well, there's some guys that'll tell you that they not only get their period, but they also can get pregnant.
You know what I wonder about this?
That's insanity.
This is why I bring this up. When I was in school, we never had sex ed, but they did. There was this one. We never had sex ed in school, but
it was health class. We called it health.
Yeah, but there was this one day, like in 5th grade, where they took all the girls out of class for something. The girls came back with all kinds of booklets and stuff, and they weren't allowed to talk to us boys about it or share any of the information about it. And obviously they were learning about their periods, right? Did you have to do that?
At my school, I went to I remember specifically my elementary school in 5th grade. They actually had a nighttime assembly
for the girls,
for all the 5th grade girls, and we had to come with our mothers.
Oh my god!
So my mom went with me, and it was all about the birds and the bees, which I kind of
was it about just your period,
everything. They told it how you make babies.
Really? Oh my goodness! How embarrassing!
Yeah,
to do with your mother.
She already had that talk with me like when I was like 9, and then in 6th grade, I took health class. I remember my teacher. I can't remember her name. And for like 6 weeks, they separated the boys and the girls, and the boys went with the PE coach, or maybe it was 2 weeks or whatever. It was for a while, and the girls went with the health teacher. And after that, it was very awkward for a while when we all got back together. Back to the regular co-ed classroom. It was strange.
Well, I remember this thing very
5th grade.
Clearly in 5th grade, where they took all the girls out and told them about their period, brought them back.
Yes,
okay.
We did that. Now, mine was a nighttime assembly.
Now, I wonder how they do that now with all this BS like this going on. Do they just have one big assembly for everyone?
It must be very confusing.
So do fit this? And I'm serious about this question. And this is why I bring up this story about the tampons in the boys' room at the high school. They must still teach girls about their periods in school. I'm sure they still do that, right? So because of all this gender stuff.
They teach them about anal sex.
But because of all this gender stuff, do they just have a general assembly with all students and the boys sit there in 5th grade and learn about periods?
Gracious.
And I imagine do they tell you about tampons and stuff in those
Well, they got them in the bathroom.
So, I mean, it just seems so bizarre and stupid.
I am very so uncomfortable. Glad we really dodged a bullet with our daughter being the age she is.
Because she just missed all this crap.
She just missed all this garbage. I mean, I feel so bad.
Well, we missed it too.
Yeah, I think most parents have common sense and realize this stuff's ridiculous, and you just they're catering to the handful of lunatics. I've been reading stories. This one father lost custody of his son, I read in the Daily Mail today, because he wouldn't approve gender affirming care, as they call it. So he wanted to become a girl. They took his son away from him.
That's crazy.
And then another couple, I read the other day, the state came in and took away their daughter.
Yep, I saw that.
Because she wanted to be a boy. I mean, that's what's happening now. The state is taking over. It's crazy. I am so glad. Of course, Emily never had those issues. But I would be really worried if I had a kid in school right now. I don't really love homeschooling because I don't think you get a good enough education. But I would do whatever I could do to put my kid in a Catholic school or a private school, because these public schools have lost their damn minds. If you can find any way, if you have a kid in school, to get them in a private or a Catholic or a religious school, do it. Because let me tell you something. These people are, and I worked in the public school system, and they're all liberal, the 95%. They're very quick on labeling people. I can tell you that. I experienced that myself, seeing it from firsthand. They a kid would do one thing and boom, they got a label on them. Big into labeling. And the kids have more rights than anybody, more rights than the parents, than the teachers, even more than the principal. They cater to them and do whatever they say. So it's a scary place.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we are out of time for today, but we will be back next time. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.